car he was throwing rocks at online.
It worked that time. It just worked that time.
Maybe they
We're alive
maybe
now.
they just wanted. So the co-main event
Yeah, you know how that,
of the
whatever.
evening.
It's going to be a little sloppy this time.
We're doing it live. Fuck it, we're doing it live.
We'll do it live.
So the co-main event of the evening is going to end up going to Josh Emmett versus Shane Burgos, a sneaky fight of the night contender in here at 145 pounds. We have a gun show ahead of us. These boys are going to be slinging it hot, and somebody is going to go night-night. Shane Burgos is 13-3. Coming off a 3-fight winning streak, only losing to Calvin Kattar. That's coming back and beating Kurt Hollabaugh, Cub Swanson, and Amir Khan in a TKO 7 months ago. Burgos has really just shown outstanding boxing out of Monroe, New York. I do believe he was training in Boston for a while. I don't know why I'm thinking that. Tiger Schulman guy, but I know he's jumped around. I could be off on that Boston link for Burgos there. But either way, we get some really clean boxing with this young man. Great takedown defense on the ground. He's not really shown us too much submission stuff, some guillotines in there, but more reactionary than anything. He really likes to keep it standing. I believe he has 98% takedown defense, does Shane Burgos. So
Wow.
definitely somebody who can keep a fight where he wants to specifically, and boy, does he love to bang in there. But he has proven against slicker, straight boxers, he can get put out. And in Josh Emmett, we have none of that. He is absolutely a looping puncher in there. The 15-2 fighter is coming in with a 2-fight winning streak, last beating Mirsad Bektik. Prior to that, beating Michael Johnson. And before all of that, losing to Jeremy Stevens with an illegal knee in Florida over 2 years ago. Emmett had a long break between then. Going back and watching that Michael Johnson fight, Michael Johnson did a Michael Johnson, where he won 3 minutes and or 3 rounds and 4 minutes of that fight, and then got knocked out in the last minute because he didn't cross his I's or T's in there. So Emmett has that one punch right hand. His left hook is actually pretty sneaky. It steps up that right hand as well, but he really moves in linear to me, does Emmett. He's ultra explosive and really will blitz guys, but if you just are more the matador against the bull in there, Josh Emmett will kind of move in that bull mentality where you keep going on a straight line and you can just kind of circle. And Burgos has those pivoting steps for days in that boxing realm. He just has all of that. The likely guy to try to get this to the ground is going to be Emmett, and it's probably once he starts losing some of these exchanges. But Burgos, again, has good enough takedown defense to keep it up. You got to be live. You got to respect the power of Emmett, especially what we've seen him do multiple times in there, that it's really a puncher's chance. And I've bet on that in a few other spots tonight. But in this spot, I just feel like that Qatar knockout for Burgos was accumulation of really good picked apart shots, and Emmett doesn't do that. He puts his head down, runs in with 3, 4, 5 shots, and then a right to finish it off, where Burgos, I think, is really just going to catch and pitch. And I had decision for Burgos, but the more I'm thinking about it, I'm liking a TKO round number 3. Shane Burgos. Give me the minus 140 favorite here. Who do you have in this one?
Gosh, I've gone back and forth, and Burgos is a guy that is totally on the up in the division. I think he can do all the same damage to the same spot that's already been exploited on Emmett, and his broken orbital cheekbone thing. I think Shane Burgos can land all the same things. Josh Emmett is a heavy puncher, though. He's a strong dude, and he's going to be dangerous for those first 2 rounds. I had Josh Emmett KO round 2 for this. I actually just saw his heavy hands eventually taking apart Qatar. I also don't love some of the old Burgos's game or some of his old fights, but his last fight against Americani, it's like, that's so much faster than Josh Emmett. So it's speed versus power kind of deal. I'm switching my mind. I'm going to go with Shane Burgos, and I I think I'm going to keep the knockout in round 2. I think he's going to do everything right, put enough together. I think he, you know, as much as it was a legal knee with Jeremy Stevens, he was piecing him up at the end of that. He was piecing him up at the
Jeremy
end of that
Stevens
fight.
was.
Yeah, Jeremy Stevens was piecing up
Right.
Josh
I agree.
Emmett. So as
Go
much
back
as,
and watch that Josh fight. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, I'm going to go with Burgos. I think he's just a faster guy on the up right now, and I think Josh Emmett's kind of hit his plateau.
I absolutely agree with you there. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for the minus 140 favorite, 8,700 for Shane Burgos against Josh Emmett, 7,500 minus or plus 115 underdog. So pretty close lines there. I'm actually surprised. There's a lot of other fighters that are priced up above 9,000 that I don't think as high of a potential to finish as Shane Burgos. So this is one of those guys I was talking about as well for captain mode. He's worth every cent there. He's going to be cheaper for the captain, and he has the real potential to get over that like 115 type range, which he's proven with an average of 92 points.
Yeah, I think so too. And unless it's just like that one sneaky power shot, I don't see how Josh Emmett wins that.
Great point. I am going to hedge my bets here, though, because we are giving that respect to Emmett. So I am going to have a couple, probably not my captains as much, but even on my other cards, there'll be a couple hedges with Emmett.
Are
some
you
of
going
those
to play
loser guys.
heavy this week?
I think 10 to 15 cards. So not as heavy as some of the pay-per-views where I'll go 30 to 40 cards in there. So maybe in that 10 range. Because I agree, this is really, really close, but there's money to be made in some of the, I feel like we've talked about some really good plays that have high potential to finish and a lot of really bad ones where it's like, okay, just stay clear of these fights. These ones are not good to pick out. So it's a fun fight night. It's definitely funner than last week when I was really looking at.
Yeah, especially even the co-main and main here right now.
Absolutely.
Compared to the Jessica
Frivola too. Camacho, Jillian Roberts. There's some fun names. So I'm definitely excited for this Saturday to come around quicker, faster than later by any means necessary in there. So then we move on to the main event at 265 pounds. Oh, the beautiful audio is finally kicking in. The studio's coming in.
Coming in hot.
So the 265ers in here are definitely standouts in the division. We have Alexander Volkov coming in at 31-7, last winning against Greg Hardy in a 5-round decision 7 months ago. Prior to that, losing to Derek Lewis in a one-sided beating until the last seconds of that entire fight. So Volkov also beating Verdum, was a Bellator champion as well in there. He definitely is a heavyweight that is going to give a lot of people trouble. At 31 years old, I'm still surprised at how young he is. His Muay Thai has always been absolutely on point. Beautiful knees, beautiful clinch. His takedown defense has been serviceable. At heavyweight, he hasn't had to deal with it much, but he has been able to get taken down. And once he's on his back, he's not able to get up so well. And after a few times, he's just kind of given up positions on the ground. But every fight starts striking, and Volkov has a very sneaky little switch knee in there that against wrestlers has always scared me. It hasn't played too much in there, but just something that I did notice with the just sneaky craftiness of Volkov. I really like to bet Volkov, and I feel like he's really shown out for me a lot of times, even though with that Derek Lewis loss. But somebody that I've never picked against, ever. I even picked him against Ngannou. Both, that about me. And it's the only ones I've gotten wrong. It's the only ones. Every single other one I've been right. So Razor Blaydes coming off a 3-fight winning streak, last beating Willis, last knocking out Aknur Rahimov and Dos Santos 4 months ago. And I feel like that this is why this line is so incredibly wide, is because going back and watching that Dos Santos fight, Dos Santos is on the tenure of his career, but he's still a top 10 heavyweight in there. And Blaydes not only systematically picked them apart with the takedown games, but his striking came along, and it's because guys are finally getting so worried about his takedowns that he starts throwing, and he's knocking dudes out or knocking them down and able to just keep up that high pace. The team elevation, he's got Alistair Overeem as his main training partner over there, getting that high elevation training. He's proven that he can go 5 rounds, 3 rounds, and just keep shooting out takedowns. Already on set to pace to break records as well, especially in the heavyweight division with his wrestling as Blaydes. But he's really just shown that he used to be just a wrestler and he'd hold you in a position, and now he's actually using that wrestling where he's grabbing the wrist, throwing those rapid punches until you make a bad move and give up a position, or he just lands a ground and pound. But his hands, even though they've gotten better, are not as good as Volkov's. In all that, I just think it's a takedown clinic, and Volkov just kind of survives until either the ref calls it off or he goes out. But I do think it's due to that ground and pound, and I think there's a lot of takedowns to be had in this fight, and a lot of just position and advances and rapid punches that will be counted for Blaydes. I see him winning this all over. I wish the line was a little bit closer because I do think it's a little ridiculous at this point, but I'm going to be excited to watch this one. This is a really fun heavyweight fight, even though a lot of people have it going only one way.
How do you see it finishing?
TKO round number 3. I could even see myself going into that round number 2 just after 3 or 4 takedowns and just 4 minutes of top control. Volkov will just kind of be shrimping, and then he'll eat an elbow or 2 that just kind of shut the lights out there.
Gosh, I have 3 and I just moved it to 4, but I almost want to move it back to 3 since we're both splitting there. Curtis Blaydes is just that much better than Alexander Volkov, and Alexander Volkov, the level of people that he's gone up against in his last few fights are not that top echelon, top 5 guys that Curtis Blaydes is making easy work of. Easy work. Like you were saying, that Dos Santos fight, I never saw that going down like that. And the thing you were saying about his wrestling with his like wrist control, I feel like, and I don't want to put like every wrestler doing this, but it's just happened to be the fighter that pointed it out to me. No, but the way that Khabib sits on both legs and then pulls that wrist down, sits on both legs and pulls that wrist down. I noticed somewhere in the past year and a half, Curtis Blaydes really implementing that into his game plan, like maybe even watching Khabib and being like, why am I not doing that? I have that whole entire game plan. And once he started to dominate control like that on the ground, we always saw him get the guys down. He just wasn't keeping them there or doing anything with it. And that was a change of game for Blaydes where I'm like, oh, I see what you see. I just don't see Alexander. I don't see him as a well-rounded UFC fighter. He has okay takedown defense, but he's going up against guys that have zero, like, shitty takedowns. He's not going up against that top echelon heavyweight that is going to get you down. And who has better takedowns in the heavyweight division than Curtis Blaydes? So here's the chance to test your mettle. I got Blaydes getting him down. I can see him standing up on top of him and kind of punching up while he's sitting on his ass, like turtled up. But I think it's a doctor wave off just by like, even where we might have to say it a few times, like, oh, the ref should call this. Oh, the ref should call this. But Volkov's going to be too tough for his own good kind of fight. Yeah, give me Blaydes everywhere on that.
I totally agree as well. I could see it being a doctor stoppage, just kind of like, all right, it's, you've had enough, big guy. On DraftKings, the biggest favorite of the night, you're going to end up paying for Razor Blaydes $9,400 for the minus 300 favorite against Volkov 6,800 plus 230. Now, I like to hedge my bets against most spots, but I really don't see any value here because I would still put Blaydes in that minus 200 range of a favorite. So it's Blaydes or nothing here. Do feel like I'm going to have a lot of other spots that are closer, and I'm going to be able to afford Blaydes, and I'm going to have to actually try to back off of him a little bit because I see a lot of exposure going his way as well. But I think that TKO.
I like him as your champion. Really, I think he's comfortably over 100 points.
I like that. The only hard thing is that he's going to be the most expensive everywhere because he is.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to pay up a lot for it, but it's doable in there. There's definitely some underdog spots, but it's going to be a little light as far as DraftKings and bets come around. I think we got some fun ones in there. I got a draw coming up. So
I want to give a couple of shout outs. One person, because we had to restart the stream, so I couldn't get it. But Mr. Anonymous at the beginning helped with our audio and let me know that my audio wasn't on all the way right at the beginning. So shout out to Mr. Anonymous. Also, Neil the security, he put in our stream a longtime sub here. Glad I could catch y'all live. Which, hey, wow. This is literally the first time we've ever done this. So glad you could catch us too. Hopefully there's more to come, and it should be usually Wednesday nights. This should work actually better for our schedules, that we could meet up whenever, like if yeah. So and we might have guests. I think this frees us up for a lot of potential.
Awesome. Definitely loving it. Any longtime fans, thank you guys so much. It's always just such an honor to be like, oh, awesome. People have been listening to us for a while. It doesn't feel like in vain sometimes.
It just feels like you're so normal when you're walking in the grocery store with your mask on that no one recognizes you.
I'm blessed in that way, definitely.
I go up to every lady with white hair and I'm like, Mom? And ladies are like, I'm not your mother.
So definitely a ton of fun. I really like this setup. I think we're going to grow a lot here, and definitely been fun that everyone's got to come with us.
Yeah, I can't wait. And, we drop a few commercials. We'll be making a couple of more little ones where you can follow us. But we're both checking out Twitch. And if you are live streaming, that's at Weakneck Baby and Zoltanite everywhere. You can find us. And thanks for following us along this far. And, I know it sounds crazy, but I think we're going to have the best 2020 ever. That's all I have to say.
Let me! That's all I got.